Yes lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today I'll be predicting the final 2019-20 Premier League table. So, football is finally back, the Premier League is finally back in England. There's just under 10 game weeks to go of the Premier League season, so today I thought I'll sit down and predict the final table for the 2019-20 Premier League season. So obviously it's going to be much easier to predict the final Premier League table, but as we've seen from the Bundesliga, with the games being played behind closed doors, the league is just completely unpredictable. Anything can happen. In the Bundesliga, we've seen a lot of shock results. So to be honest, it's still going to be very hard to predict the final Premier League table. And with the Premier League table right now, it is very close. The relegation scrap is looking very good, and it's going to be very hard to predict that one as well. The race for the top four is also looking very close, and overall the whole of the mid-table is also very close. Apart from the team at the top, who we all know is going to win the Premier League by now, don't we? So today I'll be predicting the final Premier League table for the 2019-20 season. Just before we get into it, I want to give a bit of credit to Fogden and Fogdad for this video. I did have this video planned, the thumbnail was all made, etc. But of course they had to upload it on the day I was recording this. So yeah, credit goes to them for today's video. But just before we get into it, make sure a big thumbs up down below on today's video if you can enjoy my final Premier League predictions for the 2019-20 season. Of course, football is back in England, the Premier League is back. So if you guys want to see some more Premier League content on the channel, make sure you put a like down below on today's video. If you can hit 25 likes down below on today's video, I'll be streaming every single Leicester City game for the remainder of the season. So if you guys want to see that, you know exactly what to do. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe and see my face on your screen before we are so close to 1k. As I'm recording this, we're just under 40 away. So if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe because it does help out quite a lot. Also, go and subscribe to the full Nice My New group channel. Of course, the Premier League is back, so there's going to be much more football content on there. Links to that will also be in the description down below. Turn on my notifications so you never miss any future videos on the channel, just like this one. Follow us all my social medias, they'll be down there. Links to all them will also be in the description down below. Let me know your final table predictions in the comment section down below. But without further ado, let's get into my final Premier League table predictions for the 2019-20 Premier League season. So starting off in 20th place, I'm going to go with Norwich. Of course, they've been bottom of the league for the vast majority of the season. Currently sit on 21 points, 4 points behind 19th place Aston Villa, who also have a game in hand. So it's just going to be an uphill task for Danny Farke's side. Obviously, if they get a few wins on their belt, the teams above them are still going to be, obviously, it's a relegation scrap, and these teams are going to be grinding out the wins and draws. They've only got 5 wins this season, which is simply just not good enough. Even down the bottom, they should be doing more than that. 21 points so far this season, I just can't really see them staying up. Obviously, early on in the season, they were decent with lots of Pookie and Campbell. The last few games have been decent, but the fixtures are not looking too good for them either. So it's going to be an uphill task, and I can just see them come in 20th place, to be perfectly honest, in the league. They could get a couple of results here and there, but the teams above them, I think they can keep winning as well. Obviously, this lockdown has given players a lot of time to break. Some players are coming back, especially with lots of Aston Villa above them. They are looking much more stronger, so it's going to be difficult for Norwich. So I'm going to go with Norwich to finish 20th place this season. So moving into 19th place, I'm going to go with Bournemouth. They currently sit 18th in the league with Aston Villa behind them with a game in hand, but their fixtures are just not looking good at all for Eddie Howe's men. They've been alright. It's been another mixed season for Bournemouth. They usually end off the season pretty poor as well, so if it happens again, I can see them going down, and I really can see them ending up in 19th place. Of course, with it being behind closed doors, you never know, especially with Bournemouth Stadium, it's not the loudest, so it probably won't affect them too much, but as their fixtures coming up are just way too hard, I do believe, and I can see Bournemouth finishing 19th place this season. It's going to be an uphill task for the Cherries if they are going to escape. If they do escape, they're going to have to beat some big teams such as Man City, and so it's going to be difficult for Bournemouth to stay up, so I can see them finishing 19th this season. So moving into 18th place, the final place in the relegation zone. It's going to be a tight one with a team above here, but I'm going to go with Brighton and Hove Albion. They currently sit 15th place, but the thing is, they haven't won a game in the whole of 2020. I know it's only been a few months, but still, in the Premier League, they're decent side. I finished. They should have won a game by now. Way too many draws, 11 draws so far this season, only 6 wins. If they are going to stay up, they need to turn some of those draws into wins. So it's going to be an uphill task. The fixtures are just not too good as well. Obviously, haven't won for the whole of 2020. This break, it could have done them good, but I don't know, to be honest. Under Graham Potter, they just haven't looked the best of sides, and especially coming to the late end of the season. Last season, they finished absolutely awfully. They nearly got relegated. So this season, I can see Brighton going down, sadly enough. So I'm going to go Brighton to finish in 18th place. Just escaping relegation in 17th place, I'm going to go with Aston Villa. They currently sit 19th in the league, but the most important thing is the game in hand. It is against Sheffield United, which is going to be difficult. At home, though, obviously, with no fans of Villa Park, they may struggle, but I really do think that Villa can stay up this season. disappointingly enough. If they can get the win, they'll go outside the relegation zone. So the game in hand for Aston Villa is absolutely massive, and if they can win that, I really do think that they can stay up. And I do believe that Aston Villa will get the win against Sheffield United, with the likes of John McGinn coming back as well, which is just going to boost them. So, to be honest, sadly, I think Aston Villa are going to stay up and they're just going to scrape it. It's going to be close. I can see Aston Villa finish 17th this season under Dean Smith. Into 16th place, I'm going to go with Watford. They currently sit 17th in the league. I think the relegation zone is going to be very hard to predict. I can see these sides around 15th to 20th being separated by literally a few points. It's going to go down to the last day, but I think Watford will be able to stay up under Nigel Pearson. Of course, he has the experience with Leicester, and to be honest, I think they're only down there because of how poor they were at the start of the season. Obviously, they've gone through 3 managers, I do believe, so far this season. I think if Nigel Pearson was the manager for the whole season, I think they'll be around top 10 or just around the top 10 type of areas. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that Watford will stay up, and I think they'll do it by a few points. So yeah, I'm fairly confident that Nigel Pearson can lead Watford to safety. So I'm going to predict them to finish 16th place. Also, the fixtures are fairly nice, so I can see it being it's going to be a close one, but I think Watford will just be able to escape quite comfortably in the end. So moving up into 15th place, I think this will be the last team involved in the relegation scrap, and it is West Ham United for me. Obviously, I'm still surprised that they're even in this relegation scrap. I think the quality will just pull them through in the end. I can't see West Ham being in the Championship with that massive stadium, like 60,000 in the Championship. I just can't see it. I think they will end up staying up as well under Manuel Pellegrini, I do believe. Obviously, they've got some experienced players with like some Mark Noble in midfield as well. A very good overall team with lots of Felipe Anderson as well. I don't know why they're down there, but to be honest, I think they'll hit form. The fixtures aren't too bad as well, so I'm pretty confident that West Ham will stay up. So I'm going to predict West Ham to finish 15th place. So moving straight into 14th place, I'm going to go with Newcastle United. This may surprise a few of you guys. Obviously, the new owners, you would have thought the players would want to perform even more, but I think it could really go against them. Obviously, the constant rumours, are they joining, are they not? That could get to the better of them, and especially if they do join, the pressure. If the new owners come in, Newcastle have to be in the Premier League. I know they're quite far away from the relegation zone, but anything can happen in the Premier League, especially behind closed doors. The pressure could get to the players. If they're in the Championship and the new owners, they might just simply pull out, and Mike Ashley might be back. So the pressure of them having to stay in the Premier League may get too big, especially playing at St James's Park with no fans. That's going to be very difficult. Of course, it leads behind closed doors, and it's a difficult run. And I'm confident that Newcastle will stay up, but I just think they'll slip down a few places. Obviously, they currently sit 13th place, so I think they'll still stay up, but it may become quite close. They could slip into the relegation battle, but I'm fairly confident that Newcastle will stay up, so I'm going to predict them to finish 14th place. So moving into 13th place, I'm going to go with Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace. Obviously, they currently sit 11th place. It's been a fairly average season for Crystal Palace, winning 10, losing 10 and drawing 9, so it's been a very decent season for them. Obviously, staying up is the main thing for Crystal Palace, but the next 5 games, 3 of them against teams in the top 4, against Liverpool, Leicester and Chelsea. So the run-in is pretty difficult for Roy Hodgson's men. I think they'll slip down slightly, but they'll still stay up. So I predict Crystal Palace to finish in 13th place. Obviously, the season's been fairly strong. I think they're guaranteed survival. So yeah, I think they'll just go down a few places. Like I said, the run-in is very difficult, especially so as part of the atmosphere is pretty good there. So that could affect them as well. But I'm fairly confident that Crystal Palace will stay up. So I'm going to predict them to finish 13th place. In 12th place, I'm going to go with Southampton. They currently sit 14th place, but it's been a very up and down season for the Saints. The form right now is pretty good. Of course, when the Premier League ended, they were doing pretty well. Of course, it started off the season very poorly. Of course, we managed to beat 9-0, but since then the form has really picked up for the Saints, and I think that will continue into the season behind closed doors. I'm fairly confident that they can gain a few spaces. The fixtures coming up are pretty winnable in some, so I think Southampton will have a very good end to the season, and I think they're going to jump up 2 spaces into 12th place. Moving into 11th place, fighting for the top 10 positions, I'm going to go with Burnley just to miss out on the top 10 finish under Sean Dyche. Another solid season for the Claret. If they win a few games, they could push on to possibly a European spot, but I think they'll just drop down by 1 space into 11th from 10th. The fixtures are not too difficult at Turf Moor as well. Decent fans, I don't think they'll manage. I think it'd be a bit difficult playing with no fans at Turf Moor. So yeah, I can see Burnley ending the season fairly well. I think they'll maybe draw a few too many games. I think they'll lose out on some points here and there. But obviously they're going to stay up. If they can win a few games, they could push for Europe. But I think they'll just it'll be average end to the season, and I can see them dropping down to 11th place. But obviously that is still a very good finish for Sean Dyche and Burnley. Another season of survival for the Clarets. Into 10th, I'm going to go with the Toffees of Everton to finish in the top 10, the first team making up the top 10 of the Premier League this season, in my opinion. Of course, they started off the season very, very poorly under Marco Silva. They're in the relegation zone for some parts of it, but as soon as Carlo Ancelotti has came in, they have been absolutely outstanding. Have the Toffees. They currently sit 12th, but I think they can push on that a little bit. The only thing with them playing at Goodison Park with no fans, I think that may be slightly difficult for them, but I think Everton will have a good finish, and I think they'll break into the top 10, finishing 10th this season. So moving straight into 9th place, I'm going to go with Arsenal. This is going to be a very, very poor season for Arsenal. Just missing out on the Europa League. No European football for Arsenal next season, possibly. This is because their fixtures coming up are simply so difficult. Manchester City coming up, Leicester, Wolves, Tottenham all coming up. It's going to be very difficult for Arsenal. The only thing, obviously, playing at the Emirates, it's not going to affect them without too many fans because it's usually a library anyway. But to be honest, I just can't see Arsenal turning the form around. They've been absolutely awful this season. They've had a few ups and downs through the season, of course, with the Europa League knockout to Olympiacos. They haven't got that to worry about. Even if the Europa League is continuing, I don't know. But to be honest, I just can't see Arsenal gaining. They currently sit in 9th place as well. The fixtures coming up, I just can't see them. They just don't perform in big games to Arsenal. They lost to Man City 3-0 early on this season. The first game against them, I think it will just set the tone for the rest of the season behind closed doors. So it's going to be an awful season for Arsenal, and it's just not going to end well as well. I can see the fans getting on the they can't really get on the back because they're not there, but you guys get what I mean. So yeah, it's going to be an awful end to the season for Arsenal, making it a very, very poor season for the Gunners under Mikel Arteta. So moving into 8th, into the first possible Europa League spot, of course, in Manchester to European ban. I'm going to go with Sheffield United. What a season it's been for Chris Wilder's men. Obviously, they can push for Champions League if they manage to win the game in hand. They currently sit in 7th, but to be honest, the team behind him who's going to finish 7th, in my opinion, we'll hear about that one later. I think they're going to have too much quality with players coming back. So it's still going to be a solid end to the season for Sheffield United. Even if they finish 8th, that's a possible Europa League spot. So if they can do that, what a season that could be for Sheffield United. Obviously, playing at Bramall Lane with no fans, I think that will affect them a little bit, but their football, expansive football, obviously sitting back, counter-attacking type of football, I think it'll work behind closed doors. Obviously, behind closed doors, it's not going to be the best of football, but I think Sheffield United style will suit that. Obviously, they've got a very good defence, and I think that will allow them to counter-attack very well behind closed doors. So I think they'll end off the season fairly well, but I just don't think it'll be enough to finish in Champions League spots. I think they just tail off towards the end of the season, like some teams do. They haven't really had too much of a bad patch yet, so I can see that coming towards the end of the season, but still finished 8th in his first season for Chris Wilder. What an achievement that would be for Sheffield United. So moving into 7th place, I briefly mentioned them earlier on. I'm going to go with Tottenham Hotspur. With the players coming back, Harry Kane's back, Heung-min Son's back, Bergwijn's back, I do believe. So the players come back for Tottenham. I think it's going to push them on to finish 7th place. They currently sit 8th. Obviously, it's not been a good season, but I think Tottenham, they could push for the Champions League. You never know, but I think they'll settle for a Europa League spot under Jose Mourinho. Obviously, at the start of the season, they were very poor under Mauricio Pochettino. Jose Mourinho hasn't really been allowed to pick a first team for most of it. He started off well, but with the injuries of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, it really has affected Tottenham. But I guess this break has really done Tottenham the world of good, to be perfectly honest. Harry Kane's back, Heung-min Son's back, and I think they can really push for Champions League. But I think Tottenham will just come short, and I think they'll finish 7th. But I can see it being very, very tight between the top 4 to around Tottenham. It'll possibly top 4 to 9. It's going to be tight. So I think Tottenham will end up in 7th place this season, which it's going to be a poor season for them. Of course, getting to a Champions League final last season, finishing 7th this season, it's not the best. But I think Tottenham fans will probably take that. At least I think they're going to get Europa League spot in 7th place this season. Now into 6th place, just missing out on Champions League football, I'm going to go with Wolverhampton Wanderers. What a season it has been for Wolves under Nuno. Another brilliant season. Of course, last season finishing 7th, no one thought they could back up, especially being in the Europa League. To be honest, I thought they'd just maybe scrape a top 10 finish. But in my opinion, I do believe that Wolves can finish in 6th place. Maybe even push for Champions League. Of course, 5th place would get Champions League this season. Of course, with Manchester City's European ban. So Europa League, I think Wolves fans will still be happy with that. But to be honest, if they can get a few more wins, scrape some wins out here and there, they could even push for Champions League. But I think they'll just consolidate their 6th place. They currently sit 6th, decent fixtures as well. They could push for Champions League, like I said, but I think Wolves will just end up 6th place this season. And what a season that would be for Nuno, for Wolverhampton Wanderers once again. Moving into 5th place, then just scraping into the Champions League spaces, of course, with Manchester City's Champions League and Europa League ban. I'm going to go with Chelsea. What a season it has been for Frank Lampard's men. No one expected them to do this well. Some people said they could finish 8th or 7th, but they proved everyone wrong. They currently sit 4th place, but that young squad, I don't think is going to pull through right to the end of the season. It's been a very, very long season for Chelsea, of course. I think they're going to get knocked out of the Champions League, but it's still been a brilliant season for the Blues. Frank Lampard, his first big managerial role as well in the Premier League. He's done a cracking job, and so has the very young Chelsea team. I think they're just going to tail off towards the end. It's going to be tight between the likes of Wolves and Tottenham, who are pushing into the Champions League spaces, but I think Chelsea will have just enough to finish in 5th place to get Champions League secured for them next season under Frank Lampard. So moving into 4th place into the traditional Champions League cut-off space, I'm going to go with Manchester United. Obviously, it's been a very up and down season for the Reds. At the start of the season and towards December time, they were absolutely awful under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But the introduction of Bruno Fernandes has completely turned their season around. Right now, before lockdown, they were looking at an absolute force of Bruno Fernandes in the squad. And with the likes of Paul Pogba, Rashford all coming back, it's looking big for Manchester United. I think this is the first time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is really going to have his full squad to work with. Bruno Fernandes and Pogba and Fred in midfield, that could be a very good combination for Manchester United. So it is an exciting times for Manchester United fans. They currently sit 5th place. I can see them jumping up into 4th ahead of Chelsea, and I can see them pushing the teams ahead of them, to be perfectly honest. I think United are going to come back very, very strong. Because playing at Old Trafford with no fans is going to be difficult for them, but I think they'll be alright. I think they'll manage to jump Chelsea and finish into 4th place and secure a Champions League spot for next season. So moving into 3rd place, I'm going to go with my team, Leicester City. What a season it's been for the Foxes under Brendan Rodgers. Very consistent throughout. We had a few dips around January, February, December time, but in our last game against Villa, we turned it around, of course, with that 4-0 win. That was a very good win to end off football. Of course, football is returning, and I think we'll continue that good form. We have some decent fixtures. First game, of course, is against Watford. Towards the end of the season, it's difficult as we played Tottenham and United in the last 2 games, but by then I think we'll have enough. I think we'll secure Champions League fairly comfortably. Obviously, the squad depth's decent. We've got quite a few players coming back. Ricardo Pereira could be possibly coming back. I think he will be involved towards the back end. James Maddison's back after his slight injury, so looking all good for Leicester. I think we're going to secure a Champions League spot in 3rd place, and that will be an absolutely outstanding season for Leicester. No one expected it, not even me as a Leicester fan. I usually predict Leicester to finish high, but I can see Leicester doing pretty well, average. Obviously, the fixtures are half decent, so I can see us just consolidating that 3rd place, and that'll be an absolute brilliant finish for the Foxes. So moving into 2nd place, I'm going to go with Manchester City. Obviously, it hasn't been a very good season for Pep Guardiola's men. They're not going to win the league, obviously, because Liverpool have just been so good this season. Obviously, they've lost some crucial games early on to the likes of Wolves and Norwich early on in the season. And to be honest, this season, they've just lost some stupid games at times, and the performances have just not been up to last season. Obviously, last season, they were absolutely immense. They only lost a few games. This season, they just haven't been up to the usual standards. They've been 2 in a row. I think it was always going to be difficult to make it 3 in a row, but I thought that the choice with them and Liverpool would be much closer. Even Leicester can catch up. That just tells the whole story. Obviously, it's been a bit of a difficult one. Obviously, with no Sané, I thought they still should have had enough on paper. They probably have a better team than Liverpool, so it's been a poor season for Pep Guardiola, and with the Champions League ban as well, it just hasn't been a good season for City, but I can see them consolidating that 2nd spot. Decent fixtures coming up. I think they can gain a few points on Liverpool, but obviously they will not push Liverpool at all, because they're definitely going to win the league, sadly. But yeah, I think City will finish in 2nd place. I think most of you guys just will predict that, to be perfectly honest. Right, so moving into 1st place, the winners of the Premier League for the 2019-20 season. It's not even my opinion, it's basically confirmed. Of course, it is Liverpool. What a season it's been for them. Absolutely brilliant stuff. They've only lost 1 game to Watford. To be honest, towards the end of this season, kind of as lockdown hit, the form wasn't the best, but obviously for the whole season, they've been absolutely brilliant, picking off some crucial winners like against Leicester at Anfield, Villa away. They've got some crucial wins here and there, which Manchester City haven't had. I think that's the difference. They've picked up the 3 points when it weren't looking likely. Some games they could have even lost them, but they did turn it around. Maybe look at times, definitely say that against Leicester with VAR, but overall, they completely deserve the title, and it's basically all but confirmed. So, fair play to Liverpool. It's been a brilliant season, and to be honest, everyone's going to predict them to finish first, so there's not much else to say. Obviously, overall, whole team absolutely immense this season. I can see them really pushing on in the final games. I think if they do win the league, they may play the kids, but to be honest, why not just keep playing the first team and try and get some records? But yeah, of course, Liverpool are going to finish 1st place, and that is my predictions wrapped up, boys and girls. So then, boys and girls, that is it for today's video. My final table predictions for the Premier League season this year. Let us know your table predictions in the comment section down below. Did you agree with mine? Did you not? Let me know in the comment section down below. Who's going to get relegated? Who's going to make it the top 4? Let us know in the comment section down below. Drop a like if you did enjoy today's video. If you want to see some more Premier League content, drop a like, and just let me know in the comment section section down below what content you want to see coming up. Of course, football's coming back very soon. The usual Leicester content will also be coming back as well, boys and girls. 25 likes and I'll be streaming every single game for Leicester City. Subscribe if you haven't already. We are so close to 1k. Subscribe to the 490. Turn on the notifications. Follow all my social medias. Links to them will be in the description down below, boys. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I've been SPORTSA and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.